Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Speak Out, a program under the Move Network International, where we talk about different issues, different challenges that face young people directly and indirectly. So we get to host different people from different fields to come up and talk about the solutions about these challenges, and then also suggest a way forward. So a couple of weeks trafficking, and the very first episode we basically talked about what human trafficking was, and then the second time we talked about the legal perspective. We are just going to talk about the intervention of trafficking in persons. My name is Rachel, your host, and with me I have an interesting lady that before we dive into that topic, she's going to introduce herself and tell us about who she is, such that we directly interact with a person.
Thank you so much, Rachel. My name is Ndagire Joanita Joshira. I'm a survivor of human trafficking, by the way, and I'm an activist against human trafficking. I volunteer with John Paul II Justice and Peace Center, and I volunteer with All Africa Congress of Churches. I do a lot of volunteering, volunteership programs. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be talking about the topic of human trafficking that affects all of us directly and sometimes indirectly.
All right, we are so glad to have you, Dagir, and we are going to directly dive into our questions. And our question one says, what has the government done and what are they continuing to do to combat? Human trafficking is around, but we believe that the government has been trying to do something. So kindly take us through the other ways the government has been trying to combat this vice of human trafficking.
Thank you, Rachel. As an activist, I wouldn't want to speak for the government, but at least I know the few things they have done. And if you ask me that question as a survivor of trafficking, I would also answer differently. So my answers are going to be in three categories. As a layman, government is showing that it's trying through registering companies. Okay, that is as a layman and also as an activist. That's what I'm seeing. They are trying to set up some remedies like registering companies, being strict that it's registered companies that are the ones that have the authority to do labor externalization, because first of all, most of the trafficking that is happening in Uganda is through labor externalization. And also, when it comes to internal trafficking, they are trying to take our Karamojong sisters and brothers off the streets of Kampala. But unfortunately, some of them, when they are taken off the streets of Kampala, they are taken to other cities like Nairobi, which is so unfortunate. However much the government is trying its best. Government also built a center where they are having our Karamojong sisters and brothers who are always, brought on the streets. We all know that finally we got to understand why our sisters are mostly on the road. Someone was benefiting and someone is still benefiting. They bring them purposely for trade. Like our sisters and brothers are on the streets begging, but in the evening, whatever they got has to be reported to someone. So when people's eyes were opened to this, government and KCCA started to intervene, to try to get these people off the streets. And when it comes to international trafficking, what they are doing most is trying their best to register companies. and also putting some measures at the airport. However, some of our sisters are trafficked through other borders, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania. So monitoring systems have been put up by the Ministry of Internal Affairs. So those are some of the interventions. Also, government has signed a new bilateral law with Saudi Arabia. Remember, it had expired. So whichever activities were taking place were actually, most of them were the illegal activities of externalizing labor to Saudi Arabia. But now, at least a new bilateral agreement has been signed. Then, as a survivor of trafficking, I would love to say that government is really, really lying to me, like, so much. I remember recently we had videos of an interview from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it was so heartbreaking that he made it clear that as you go to work in countries like Saudi Arabia, you are on your own, yet we really need government protection as external laborers. So that is kind of disappointing. And still on the side of an activist, I feel like government has more duties to do that it is not doing. Government has the duty to protect its people even beyond the borders. Through these bilateral agreements they are doing, they need to, most of the times, consider the interests of its people. However much we don't have jobs in Uganda and we are lobbying for jobs for our people, we really need that protection.
All right. Thank you so much, Ndagire. We believe one of the government officials listens to this. They will get to know that, yes, they are trying to do something. They have signed laws. They have taken people off streets. They're registering companies. They are being strict. But it's like there is a lot that they need to do. So we believe us doing this, at least they are getting to know that many people are affected out there and they are not being helped. So they need to come to board and get to understand that this is something happening and they need to work about it. So thank you so much for sharing about that. So our question too, because we believe there are civil organizations that are coming in partnership with the government to curb this vice, right? So I want us to, for you to just help us break down the role of the civil societal organizations. But you might notice that some people might not even know about them, yet trafficking is happening every day. I want you to just break down the role of the civil society organizations and what they really need to do to curb this vice.
Okay, first of all, civil society organizations need to stop being cowards, because whatever they are fighting is not something that comes on a silver platter, just like they do. Some civil society organizations actually don't do anything. They are just organizations with a certain name, and they are well connected. They can get donations, but they are doing totally nothing. They need to man up. Civil society organizations need to realize that they have a duty to perform, because they are the people that can speak for those people who have no voice. So if you're the one to speak for people without a voice, but at the same time you fear to speak, then I don't really get the reason for your existence. Many civil society organizations in Uganda are just having names. They just take pictures. You hardly hear them intervening in trafficking cases. At least I know individuals who have done a very big job, but they don't have sponsorship, they have no donations. But other civil society organizations, they can never get involved, even when something is so obvious, even when people are making noise about something and it's so obvious and everyone can look at it and realize this is going on, someone needs help, they cannot even wake up one morning and say, let us help this person. And then these are the same people who front themselves that they are speaking for returnees, they are speaking for the victims, but in reality, they are just making money. So civil society organizations need to stop being cowards, because if you think that you cannot confront trafficking, then don't lie to people by getting donations saying that you're going to encounter trafficking, yet you know very well deep in your heart you are just surviving on the fact that you are making reports about trafficking. This trafficking is not all about people who can fight from the back door. No, because the only way we can fight trafficking very well is by exposing it. If we keep it behind the doors, behind closed doors, then we become part of the people who are supporting it. So that is my major role that I'm seeing that civil society organizations need to play.
Thank you so very much, Ndagiri, for that. The civil organizations that are on the that you should stop being cowards. She has mentioned that the only way to curb trafficking is by exposing it. She has mentioned the civil society organizations. This is a cry. You should stop being cowards. Yeah, because you're the voices, you're speaking for these people. And so if you're cowards, this thing is not going to be curbed. So Nigeria has mentioned that the only way to curb trafficking is by exposing it. And so as civil organizations, this is your role. Speak for your people and stop being cowards. So this takes us directly to our last question, which says, I want you to just help us highlight about the reporting avenues for human trafficking, or like maybe if you have any numbers that these people need to report to in case it's really, really, really urgent. You provide them out such that, we can help people out there.
First of all, this issue is kind of a security thing. Well, first of all, I want to give a tactic to any victim of trafficking. If you find yourself a victim, find someone nearby you, someone you can trust. Let me say, leaders in our societies, one of the people we need to run to immediately there is anything like any crime that is committed under the line of traffic. Once you identify it, they are the first people we need to run to. Now, if you feel like you don't trust them, go to police. Your immediate person is a relative. If you have no relative, there is always a neighbor or someone you can trust, because we always identify these people in our societies, however much we don't give them the attention, but in most cases, they are there, people who are willing to help, who can go with you to the police. And you can use social media. By the way, social media today is one of the avenues where people report in a most secure way. You use your own platform. If you are on Twitter, tweet and tag some people. If you are on Facebook, just put it out there on Facebook. If you are on WhatsApp, put on your status. People always check out statuses. If it's a person who has no Facebook, let me say, please report to the nearest leaders. If all fails, there are civil society organizations in our communities, and there are people always in our communities working against this evil of trafficking. When someone approaches you and they're telling you things that are looking like abnormal, though they seem normal, please talk to someone. Because one of the tactics traffickers use is that don't tell anyone, they will be jealous. So all this is propaganda that is used by traffickers to woo people to fall in their trap. They always make sure that it remains a secret. Stop keeping these things a secret. Not everyone wishes bad for you. Some of us tell you because we would love to see you alive. You very well know the stories of our people who have gone abroad. And as long as working conditions of especially domestic workers and laborers are not put straight, as long as we are still under the kafala law system, whichever labor externalization that involves domestic workers, I am calling it trafficking. I don't care whether your company is registered or not. I am calling it trafficking, because when people leave Uganda and are taken to those so-called offices, they are just sold to other people. Even those who don't go straight to offices, they are connected to these so-called offices. And these so-called offices are just places of agents who receive money from whoever they call their boss to own this person and do whatever. Because if it wasn't trafficking really for those so-called registered companies, why wouldn't these companies punish those bosses who end up molesting and killing our people? So that is enough example to show that whatever is going on is trafficking. It is not actually labor externalization. So when it comes to trafficking, it's a very, very tricky topic, and many people don't want to talk about some of the externalization means as trafficking. But according to our definition of trafficking, where exploitation is proved, it is trafficking. So that is why I always challenge people that if you think that you're not trafficking, I challenge you to take away exploitation from whatever you're giving as labor externalization. So my people always scout out for civil society organizations. Some of them are not working directly on trafficking, but what I know about civil society organizations is that they always have this heart of saving someone in trouble. It doesn't matter whether it's in their docket. If it's not in their docket, they will always connect you to the right people. So organizations in your communities should actually be your friends. It is one of the safest ways to report matters of trafficking. People can also reach out to me on my social media handles. On Twitter, I use Ndagire JJ Right One. On Facebook, I use Ndagire Joanita Josh. That's what I use. Then on Instagram, it's the same. When you type Ndagire Joanita Joshira, you will always find me.
All right, then. Thank you so much. I think we have come to a conclusion of this podcast today, but I think we have learned, yeah, to the government, to all the stakeholders that are, supposed to play a part in exposing human trafficking. This is our cry. And so we thank you so much, Ndagire, for pouring out your heart. And due to the fact that you are a survivor of human trafficking, so we trust the information that you have given out to the world. And so
Thank
for
you.
anyone that maybe is seeing any forms of human trafficking around, she has told us, always run to your community leaders. The police is available. And then also you can use the social media platforms and tag people that are responsible. And with doing all that, I know human trafficking will come to an end. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge about human trafficking. And yes, we believe that you have helped someone out there. So, to all our viewers, thank you so much for watching us. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and wait for more episodes to come. Thank you and have a lovely
Have a lovely
bye.
day too. Bye bye. Thank you so much.